Friends, welcome to Biology Made Easy. Today in this video we'll discuss the natural selection and the different types of the natural selection. Now while discussing Darwin's theory, we have seen that he has emphasized on overproduction and then struggle for existence, survival of the fittest. But actually the selection that is forwarded by Darwin and Wallace, it is not a bloody struggle. Rather, natural selection is a very peaceful process where survival of the fittest or the struggle for existence, they don't have much importance. Then what is actually natural selection? Natural selection means a differential reproduction. It means differential reproduction. Now, what is the meaning of this differential reproduction? Now, each organism, whether plant or animal, has an inherent capacity to reproduce. But some organisms, they have power of producing more offsprings, while others, they produce less. So, suppose in a population, some individuals have some traits, some genes, or you can tell some alleles, which have a tendency to produce more and more. So naturally, in the next generation, the traits which are present in them, that will be inherited to the next offspring. And those who have not much traits or characters to have capacity to reproduce, gradually their number will be less. Again in the next generation, second generation, again the offsprings, they will grow up and again they will reproduce. So thus generation after generation, the population will be produced into such an extent that each individual has a capacity to produce more and more. So those which have capacity to produce more and more, naturally they are quite fit. And because they are fit, they can grow and they can reproduce, they can give rise to more offsprings. While those who are less fit, gradually their number decreases. This differential reproduction is the main cause of natural selection. Now this natural selection, it doesn't affect the phenotype of single genes. That is very important. It does not affect the phenotype of single genes. Rather, it affects the phenotype of the entire genotype. This is very important. That means a particular gene, it will produce only one phenotype. So natural selection will not act upon it. Rather, one organism has a large number of genes, large number of alleles, and the sum total of this effect, which is expressed in phenotype, on that only the natural selection acts. That is important. So the population whose sum total of the genes, the sum total of alleles, which provide selective advantage over others, they will be naturally predominant. That means the sum total of genes provide the selective advantage over others. That means in some organism, the sum total of genes that provide a selective advantage over others, so naturally after a few generations they become predominant. And nature automatically selects them. Now let us give some example. So suppose let us give one example. Suppose in a population, suppose a particular variant appears, and in this population, suppose there are 9 and there are 9%, and here suppose a single variant arises. So here the proportion it will designate as A. Here what is the percentage of A? This one variant. So in this case it will be 1 by 10, because the black, they are 9 in number and only one red is there. That means this is the new variant. That means it is coming to only 10% in this. Now suppose the new variant, its power of reproduction is more, and in each generation it will produce 3 offsprings, whereas the non-variants, the black dots, they will produce 1 each. So what will happen in the next generation? So in the next generation, now the variant red one, it will produce 3, because it has a power of more reproduction, while the black will remain same, because there are 9 and each one will produce. So here the total number will be 12. The total number is 12, out of which the variants are 3. So 3 by 12, that means 25%. That means it's the first offspring generation. First offspring generation. Now it will go to the second one, the second offspring generation. Now the 3, again each one will produce 3 each, so their number will be 9. 9, and the black there, all 9, because each one will produce only 1 each. So the total number is 18. So this C, here the total number is the red are 9, while the total number is 18. That means 50%. You see how the number is increasing, and this is the second offspring generation. Now again, if you go to the next generation, now the 9, they will produce 27. While the black will be only 9. So the total number is 36, 27 plus 9. So here what happens? 27 by 36. So here it is coming to 75%, and this is the third offspring generation. It will still go to another generation. Now the 27, each one will give rise to 3, so there will be 81. I am not counting 81. So the red are altogether 81. I have not counted. And the black are only 9. So altogether 90. That means in this case, 81 by 90. So it is coming to 90%. And this is the fourth offspring generation. That means when the reproductive capacity of the variant is more, you see in few generations how the non-variant remains same, while the variant which has more capacity of reproduction is changing. So this is changing the frequency of the genes, frequency of the alleles, and that becomes a predominant. This is natural selection. There is no struggle. It is only the differential reproduction. This is one example. If we give a second example, the second example we can give that of the hair of animals. Hair of animals. Now usually the length and density of hair is controlled by genes. What will be the length of the animal hair and what will be the density, that is usually gene controlled. Now suppose there is a cold winter. So the animals which have very short and sparse hairs, that means short hairs and thin hairs, they will die of cold. But those which have long and dense hairs, they will survive. So you see, when there is cold weather, those which have short and sparse hairs or thin hairs, they will die due to cold. While those which have long and dense hairs, they will survive that cold winter, and in the next spring they will reproduce. Now those offspring which will be reproduced, again they will have dense, long and dense hairs. So again they have the capacity to tolerate the winter, and again they will reproduce. As a result, after a few generations, the animals which will be present in that cold winter area or region, that will have long and dense hairs. This is the example of natural selection. So these are the two examples of natural selection we have discussed. Now you have a very clear idea that how natural selection operates due to differential reproduction and not due to struggle for existence and survival of the fittest. Now this natural selection is again of different types. That is also very important from examination point of view.